Hello, and you're all very welcome along to the latest Champ.ie podcast, Ireland's premier horse racing podcast in association with Boylesports, Gordon Park, EJ Menswear, Shamrock Thoroughbreds, Midland Travel and McCafferty's traditional Irish bars.
They're coming to the final fence in the 25 Govs Tie Estate. Nick Rocket lands in the lead from Velvet Elvis, gone well clear. Up Favori de Shundu and Bushman's Pass, they're well strung out. Nick Rocket on the stand side for win number 10 in the race for Willie Mullins.
Enter our Champ.ie headline competition in association with Midland Travel, where you could win a trip for two to the Cheltenham Festival 2026. For a chance to win, simply subscribe to the Champ.ie podcast on YouTube if you haven't already, and scan the QR code to enter your competition details today. We look forward to discussing your weekly #5cast selections in the comment section below.
Series 6, episode number 4 of the Road to Cheltenham Challenge, and a very warm welcome. This time the turn of course, Noel Fehily, 6-time Cheltenham Festival winning jockey. Noel, including 2 champion hurdles. What memories you must have?
Yeah, great place. Great place to be involved in. Little own ride a winner, but every winner at Cheltenham is very special.
Noel, fantastic weekend. We might as well get into it. Hurricane Pat delivering the Syndicate. Obviously, a big success at Sandown over the weekend.
Yeah, we're delighted with him. Been a nice little horse last year, won 2 bumpers. Wasn't an overly expensive horse when we bought him after he'd been second in 2 pints. But won his 2 bumpers last year, was third in a Sandown bumper, which probably wasn't a bad race as well, carrying a penalty. And then came out and won at Sandown this year, won his maiden hurdle there, and put up a great performance on Saturday. We were well excited about that run now.
Were you expected? I mean, the race looked deep enough with the likes of Sober Glory, Fresh Perspective. It looked a deep enough contest, didn't it, to be fair?
Yes, so some very nice horses in it. And I was thinking going there, we were thinking he'd run well. Gary and Josh Moore, they don't talk their horses up very much, and they were very positive about him, that he'd been training really well. So I was expecting him to run well, but as I said to someone in the morning, you could run well and finish third in that race, and you'd be happy coming home almost. But to put up the performance he did was hugely exciting.
Star ratings for the performances over the weekend. This is where we start each and every week, Noel, on the Road to Cheltenham Challenge. And of course, this show in association with Gordon Park, Boylesports, EJ Menswear, Shamrock Thoroughbreds, McCafferty's traditional Irish bars, and Midland Travel. So thanks once again to all our partners. But look, we mentioned Hurricane Pat. We might come back to the performance itself in a moment, but you rode a Tingle Creek winner, Noel. I think it was in 2010 on Masterminded. I'm not entirely sure Alette Tomp is near Masterminded level, but you're giving a 5-star performance at the weekend. I mean, do you think he now sets the standard in this division?
I think he does. I thought it was a very good performance. Maybe John Bon isn't what John Bon used to be, but he still beat him very well. I thought it was a very good performance. And I suppose Majborough blotted his copybook a little bit over the weekend as well. So I'm not sure what's about to take him on, sort of thing, So I think at the moment he's the one they all have to beat for the Queen Mother, I think.
Not the biggest individual in the world, Noel, but to be fair,
No.
I mean, what's his jumping ability for such a small horse? I mean, that's the big thing with Alette Tomp.
Well, yeah. Well, Sandown's a it's a big track to jump around. And he jumped around there very well. He jumped around when he jumped around there in the celebration chase as well. So, he's not very big, but he jumps well. He doesn't waste any time in the air. He's rubs the top of the fence and he's quick through the air. I don't think his size is a problem to him. He's well able to jump.
You've given Alamba a 4-star rating. Keen to ask you about his jumping at Exeter. There was plenty of comments afterwards that his jumping was a little bit slow. What did you think of his performance at the weekend? Do you think he's a 2-miler?
I think he's a horse that will stay further, but I think he has enough class that he's definitely an Arkle. I think he's an Arkle horse. His jumping was better on Saturday, but his jumping can still get sharper. And Nicky Henderson has such a good record with these type of horses. The likes of the Altiors won this race, and they go on to probably on to Kempton at Christmas, and then on to Cheltenham probably. But his jumping can definitely get sharper. But I think he's a high class horse. He's got a lot of ability, and I think if he brushes up his jumping and gets a bit sharper, I think he's definitely a player. I think you need a horse that stays for the Arkland. He definitely stays further than 2 miles.
And what about the County Cork owned horse, Copic de Boer? Obviously, Connections won the Supreme last year. They look the two big ones now in the 2 mile novice chase division. How would you split the two of those at the moment, from what you can see?
Well, I think Lulamba has to sharpen up his jumping to take on the likes of Copic de Boer. But I think he can do it. And Copic was very good. Also, at Naas or Navan? He won it. Navan last time. But he's jumping early doors. I thought Paul had to give him plenty of help over the first couple, and his jumping got better as he went along. But he's obviously a very high class horse. He won the Supreme last year. Looks a proper one. He sets the standard, but I think Lulamba can give him a race.
Yeah, 5-year-old record in the Arkle is going to be thrown at the Lamba. Sure, plenty between now and
how many 5-year-olds would have tried it? I suppose not many, would it?
Yeah, it's a good question. To be fair, I don't have the stat on hand, Noel, but to be fair, obviously Majborough last season, I was expecting him to blow them away. The Arkle from last season, we might give it a mention maybe later on in the show, but the form looks quite deep. And if he hadn't made that mistake last season at such a key time in the Arkle, Majborough, Noel, he probably would have won it, wouldn't he? I
think he would have won. I think his jumping let him down at a crucial part of the race, and probably let him down again at the weekend, but
can he recover from this? Do you think he's still a champion chase contender?
I think he can. He looks to me like he gets very idle out in front. I think if he was in a strong run race getting a lead, he might concentrate a bit better, but he looks like he gets a bit idle. And I see him yesterday in Cork at the fence across the top. He dropped his back legs into the fence. He just seems like he doesn't quite concentrate, and he's not giving Mark Walsh any help when he's out in front. I think if he was travelling in behind horses, he might give him a bit more help. He might be an easier ride, but the engine's clearly there, but he just needs to get his jumping together. But he was going around bends yesterday, he was leading on the wrong leg, and he just looked like he was making life difficult for him to ride. And I'd like to see him getting in a strong run race, getting a lead.
Let's talk about Hurricane Pat, the performance. We mentioned the race looked deep. You've only given him a 3-star rating, though. Why?
I just think, while it was a very good performance, I think you'd have to be honest and say Sober Glory probably didn't perform. So we still have question marks over how strong the form is. And I still think there's a lot of novices to come out. We haven't seen a lot of the novices probably in Ireland yet. And we don't know how good some of them are yet. So while we're very, very happy with our lad and was very impressed with him on Saturday, I think we still have to step up a bit.
Was there anything on course? I mean, any reaction about Sober Glory's run? Because obviously he was the one that was well fancied heading into the contest. I mean, Connections must have been fairly disappointed with how flat he ran.
Yeah, I spoke to some of the Connections at Sandown on Saturday, and they were disappointed. They thought he didn't turn up. And I suppose you'd have to say he didn't probably turn up. He was, if he finished second, you'd probably say maybe we beat him fair and square. But to finish fourth, he probably didn't perform, and you have to look at it and think, we did it very well. We were, Hurricane Pat was very impressive on the day, and we couldn't have asked for more. But I still feel we have to step forward again to be troubling the front ones in the Supreme.
I was going to say, what next? You mentioned the Supreme. Where are we thinking en route?
I'm not sure. The Thornbury's going to come too soon with the old Talbot. He runs it's an Aintree now in Boxing Day. It's going to come too soon. So we will have a think, and we'll probably find something mid-January time for him, and see how it progresses there. And if all goes well there, then all roads will lead to the Supreme, I hope.
At this point in time, do you think he's a live on for that Supreme?
Yes, yeah. We can't have asked for more on Saturday anyway.
What would you think are his biggest strengths from what you can see at the moment?
I think he's a very good traveller. He goes on any ground. He jumps well, and he probably we haven't dipped him really in his 2 hurdle races. He's won quite comfortably, so we don't know what's left under the bonnet. But he jumps and he travels, and he's a horse that's going the right way. I think he's getting stronger all the time as well.
To be fair, Noel, the Syndicate's going the right way as well, because you were just telling me off air, 56 runners. 13 winners, 26th place this season, and over 120 winners thus far for the Syndicate. So how many's involved? Talk to us just briefly about obviously the way you syndicate these race horses. Is the model 10 by 10 you were telling me off air?
Yes, we do 10 by 10. Myself and David Cross started it when I finished riding, and we started with a couple of horses and thought we'd do 10 by 10 and do it that way. It works well that way. You can get people into the race courses and get everyone well looked after on race day. If you dilute it any more than that, it probably becomes a bit more difficult with tickets into the races and keeping everyone well involved. But 10 suits us, and that works well. And we started with a couple of horses, and it's grown quite quickly, I suppose, really over the last 6 years, and I'm very happy where it's gone.
Talk more about the Syndicate later on in the show. I want to continue on this section, Noel, and before we move on to Tracker Horse, No Drama Descent. Quickly, just wanted a brief word on the performance of No Drama Descent. Obviously, you know some of the connections well. You've teamed up with Paul Nicholls on many occasions. Rock on Ruby springs to mind, obviously, in the champion hurdle, but No Drama Descent. Connections seem to have another smart one in their hands. Mentioned as the next Denman. What do you make of the comments from Paul Nicholls on No Drama Descent?
Yeah, I think he's a long way to go to be filling Denman's boots, but you'd have to be very impressed with what he's done so far. For Paul to pitch him in a grade 2 at Cheltenham first time out, he obviously rates him very highly. I spoke to Harry Cobden briefly, and he was well impressed with him after Cheltenham. But he backed it up again at Sandown over the weekend, and I thought he put up another nice performance. He travels well. He seems to go to sleep well and then come alive when Harry wants him and finish off the race strong. He's obviously a high-class horse, and when Paul Nicholls is mentioning him in them sort of names, he's obviously getting excited about him.
To be fair, they went hard at Cheltenham with Heads Up making the pace. They went hard again at the weekend as well. Do you think like the new course in an Albert Bartlett? I mean, he's a shorter price for the Turners than he is the Albert Bartlett. If we're talking Cheltenham, I thought the new course, 3 miles, going a hard pace. As you said, the way he relaxes early on in his races has to be a massive strength, and probably his biggest strength. I thought he looked more of a Bartlett horse than a Turner's horse. To your eye, what did he look?
Yeah, I think he's probably got enough pace for a Turner's. I'm not sure he needs to be going 3 miles yet. I think he looks more a Turner's horse, I think, than an Albert Bartlett horse. I think he doesn't look an out-and-out stayer, and I don't know if he's had enough racing either for a race like that. I think they need to be a bit more battle-hardened going into an Albert Bartlett, but I wouldn't think he's had enough races under his belt for a race like that. But I think he looks more like a Turner's horse to me.
I've given him a 4-star rating simply because I think once again, Noel, maybe the race just set up nicely for him, and he was visually very, very impressive and found a 50. Look, not to be harsh on Gordon Elliott because he's absolutely flying it at the moment. At Cork yesterday, Fairyhouse last weekend. But I think Gordon did make reference on the Nick Luck podcast this morning that if this race was maybe run again, found a 50. He sees him as a grade 2 horse. Obviously, he was in receipt away from the likes of Majborough, who's that bit younger. I just think if this race was run, the Hilly Way at Cork was run again later on in the campaign, that you might see a different result, and certainly if Majborough, but he's going to need to sharpen up his jumping, isn't he, Noel? That has been the first section of our show, which is our performance star ratings. And when we come back from this quick message, we're going to be putting a tracker horse into the mix on the road to Cheltenham Challenge.
To begin with a chance of winning an all-inclusive trip for 2 to the 2026 Cheltenham Festival in association with Midland Travel, Ireland's leading horse racing travel specialist. Simply subscribe to Champ.ie on YouTube if you haven't already, and scan the QR code on screen and answer the following question. Who won the 2025 Cheltenham Gold Cup? Was it 1. Galopin de Champ, 2. I Know the Way You're Thinking, or 3. Marine Nationale? Register your competition details today, including your YouTube username. Don't forget, you must subscribe to Champ.ie on YouTube to qualify. The competition winner will be announced on Thursday, the 12th of February. Best of luck and be lucky.
Yes, and if you're not in, you cannot win. There's been super interest in Midland Travel, of course, fantastic prize trip for two to the Cheltenham Festival in March, and that'd be fantastic for some of your syndicates or your shareholders. Noel, a fantastic prize with Midland Travel. If you haven't entered the competition, as we mentioned, if you're not in, you can't win. You can scan the QR code up on screens, or if you're watching this on a mobile device, all you have to do is click the link in the podcast description. But next section of the show, Noel, over the last 7 days, tracker horse, what have you got for us? Give us a horse maybe that did win, didn't win, maybe the one that caught your eye that we should be putting into the tracker and following going forward.
Yeah, I was very impressed with MACKTOAD at Sandown on Friday. I think he looked a juvenile hurler with sport following for the season. I think he won well. Josh and Gary Moore like him a lot. He won his ANTE-POST bumper in France before he came over here and jumped and travelled well, won on the bridle. I think he looks a decent horse for the future. And there's also a horse of our own there called Baron Noir who runs tomorrow. I'm hoping he's one that we'll be following. He won a punch down bumper for us at the end of last season, and he was second in his first start over hurls, beaten by a nice horse of Harry Durham's. But I'd say he'll come on a fair bit for that run, so be expecting him to go close tomorrow.
I'm going to put a horse into the mix that we actually tipped on our Thursday show heading into the weekend of Neil King's. A horse called Rubber Ball ran very well in the concluding race at Aintree on Saturday, and has form linked in with Tutti Quanti, and that form has worked out well with that horse going on to achieve a rating of 138. I just thought shaped well for a long time in that contest, and I thought took a step forward, to be fair, from the Great Wood effort, finished fourth in that 3:15 at Aintree on Saturday. I thought shaped well and should be winning off its mark. So Rubber Ball is the tracker horse from my side on this section of the show. Noel, quick fire round with yourself. Let's kick it off. I mean, we spoke about some of the memories you had at Cheltenham over the years. 6-time Cheltenham Festival winning rider. You rode winners, of course, for Paul Nicholls, Nicky Henderson, Willie Mullins. But first question for you, when you look back at your riding career at Cheltenham, what was the one that sticks out? What's the one that comes to mind first in terms of a day in the sun?
Look, winning a second champion hurl, I suppose, in Bouvardere was very special. To win one champion hurl in Rock on Ruby, that was amazing. But to win a second one was very special. But like I said, anytime you ride a winner at Cheltenham it's a very special place. It's a hard place to get rides, let alone rides with chances, and to get winners is tough. Yeah, I suppose Bouvardere, second champion hurl, to be able to say you won the champion hurl twice is it's a nice thing to be able to say.
And a word for Rock on Ruby, because he obviously went on to race over longer trips. I mean, were you expecting, I think it was 11-1 when he beat Hurricane Fly in the champion hurdle. Were you expecting a big run on that occasion? Obviously, Harry Fry played a big part with the horse as well.
Yeah, Harry Fry, obviously. Paul Nicholls used to have a satellite yard down where Harry Fry looked after the horses down in Seaborough. And Harry would have done most of the training with him. And I rode him the week before. I schooled him the week before, and he was absolutely buzzing, I thought. Obviously, Hurricane Fly was all the rage at the time, and he was a seriously good horse. But I was expecting Rock on Ruby to run a massive race. Now, I didn't think for a second I'd beat Hurricane Fly, but I did. I was expecting a massive run. It just goes to show, at Cheltenham, if you're not on your A game on the day, anything can happen. And Hurricane Fly wasn't on his A game that day, and luckily it went our way.
We're going to take a brief look at the champion chase picture in a couple of moments' time as well. But special Tiara, winning one for Henry, the Bromhead, who at that point in time had a terrific record in those, 2 mile, sizing Europe we saw. But special Tiara, 2 mile champion chase performance. Was that a surprise on the day?
Yeah, again, Duvan was all the rage that time. He looked unbeatable going into Cheltenham. Special Tiara had been third in the champion chase the year before. He'd always been knocking on the door and running some super races every time I rode him. And I was, again, expecting him to be in the money. But did I think he'd win? No, I didn't. But he jumped and galloped that day like he never jumped and galloped before or after. For whatever reason, he was just on song. He'd rubber down over the first couple of fences, and every time he ran, You couldn't go quick enough on him, and but normally when he'd get to a fence, he'd just, he'd look after himself. He wouldn't be stupid about it, even though he'd rip down to it. And that day he let rip at a few fences, which he wouldn't always do. And I think that was probably the winning and losing of the race. He was just on fire that day.
Love Envoy, we'll mention her as well. She gave the Syndicate obviously a great success. We might as well talk about her straight up, Noel, because Love Envoy, we were a massive follower of this mare on the Champ.ie podcast over the years. And the day she brought home the gold medal in that mare's novices hurdle, I mean, what did that mean for your new journey, obviously syndicating racehorses?
We owe her so much. She was a brilliant mare. We bought her after she won her bumper in Wexford, and I suppose it was COVID time. Sean Doyle ran her in a bumper because Pine of Pints were called off during COVID, and we bought her after that. And she won at Leicester first time out around early December, and she just went from strength to strength. She carried on winning. She was unbeaten going into the Cheltenham Festival. She'd won the Jane Seymour, the Grade 2. She'd had a right good season up to that. And the ground actually dried up just before Cheltenham that year. And I think the ground was very fast on the first day. I think they were breaking track records on the first day, and we thought, oh, we won't get a chance to run her. But we declared her anyway, and she needed a bit of cut in the ground. But and on the Wednesday, the heavens opened, and it rained. It rained very heavily early on Wednesday morning. I think it might have rained for a lot of the day on Wednesday, and the ground came for us on the Thursday. So we were someone was looking down at us, and all the stars aligned, and she went and won. Unbelievable stuff.
And what about looking forward then? I mean, tell us about the young horses in the Syndicate at the moment that you're most looking forward over the next 12 months.
The likes of Hurricane Pat, Baron Noir, Giant's Grave is another horse we have that was second in the novice or third in the novice hurdle the other day. We got a couple of nice young horses there, and Dundee, another horse that I ran once for us over hurdles, won first time out this season. They're the ones that want to, you want them going on to hopefully jump fences maybe next season and progress from there. We have a nice mare called Jackie Hobbs who won her novice hurdle first time out. She goes to the listed hurdle at Haydock at Christmas time. So there's a lot of them there. I'm probably missing out a few there along the way as well, but there's a good bunch of young horses coming along, I hope. And you need, it's like a football team. You need young players coming through and young horses coming through to keep progressing and keep the profile up, I suppose.
Absolutely. Now, when we come back from this very quick ad break, we're going to take a very brief look at the Champion Chase.
Now boarding the train of thought.
Calling out. Injury Lane. Statminster. Opinion Circus. Last Chance Cross. And Decision Time.
Back yourself. Boyle.
Gorham Park Racecourse, the premier racetrack in the southeast of Ireland, is located on the outskirts of Kilkenny City. Known as the race that stops the county, the famous Gobs Thyestes Chase 2026 takes place on Thursday the 22nd of January. With packed crowds expected once again this January, you can book your early bird tickets online today. Visit gorampark.ie online, click the link in the Champ.ie podcast video description, or scan the QR code on screen to purchase right now.
Yeah, so we're getting close to that big day, of course, in the southeast. The Gobs Thyestes Chase, Thursday 22nd of January. If you haven't got your tickets as of yet, it's a good Christmas present for a loved one this Christmas, and 33% off tickets at the moment. Early bird tickets available on the Gorham Park website. Champion Chase, we mentioned, you've written the likes of Mastermind, of course, in the past to win a Tingle Creek. Noel, your roads, Special Tiaras, we mentioned, to win a Champion Chase. But let's zone in on this picture at the moment. Elete Tom, 11-4 at Boylesports, Marine National 7-2, Majbra 11-2, Sergino 6-1, Loda Sud 16s with Found a 50. If I had to force you right now at the moment, Noel, to come down on one, which would be the horse you come down on?
I'd say it'd probably be leaning towards LA Tomps this time. At the moment, anyway. Obviously, we haven't seen Marie National yet. He has to come back out and see what he can do. But I still wouldn't write off Majborough. I think Majborough, if he can brush his jumping up a little bit, and like I said, a stronger run race where he gets a lead might just suit him a bit better. But I think at the moment, LA Tomps is the one that's been there and put up a good performance the weekend, and he looks like the one they all have to beat at the moment.
Would you be concerned about his Cheltenham record? Because course form at Cheltenham, as we know, Noel, very, 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 very important. But he hasn't actually won at the festival as of yet. Would that concern you in any way?
I suppose, yeah, course form is important at Cheltenham, but at the same time, he's a good, tough, hardy horse. He jumped around Sandown twice now, and Sandown isn't an easy place to jump around. I think if you jump around Sandown, you'll jump around anywhere. So I wouldn't be overly worried about it. No.
The fact that Willie Mullins mentioned it last season about Factifile potentially making up into a champion chase horse. I know he was tried over 2 miles at the Punchestown Festival. Do you think, is there any possibility we could have a flip-flop with Majborough and Factifile simply because one jumps better than the other?
Well, who knows what Willie Mullins would do, but I think they'll probably stick with Majborough at the moment. I think he's probably looks more like a 2-miler than Factifile. I think if they can get his jumping sorted out and get him concentrating a bit more, I still think he's a high-class horse. I would say Majborough is probably the one they'll probably stick with.
Super. When we come back from this very quick message, we're heading and we're going to talk about our latest Ante-Post selections on the road to Cheltenham Challenge. And don't forget, of course, if you haven't started your portfolio, not too late. The big prize, a VIP trip for 2 to the Boylesports Irish Grand National at Easter, of course, and that is the prize, the healthiest looking portfolio. If you haven't begun your portfolio, now's the time to do so. And when we come back from this quick message, we're going to talk episode number 4, selections on the show.
How's things, folks? It's going to be a Baltic winter, and our winter wonder is back here at EJ Menswear and EJMenswear.com. €279 for 5 pieces all in, including your wool coat. We've got an unbelievable selection in this. Start off with your coat, build that. Choose a top from a quarter zip knit from Ted Smith. Any of our shirts, hundreds and hundreds of different combinations you can put together here. I've gone all black with the charcoal grey coat. Everything included in this, your coat, your quarter zip, or your shirt or your top, your bottoms. We even throw in the free scarf and socks. €279. It's a saving of over €200. The colours in the coats are class. You've got your camel there at the front. You've got your French navy. You've the black and you've the charcoal that I'm wearing here. A saving of over €200. The Winter Wonder Bundle is live now on the website, EJ Menswear, and in-store in Grattan Street in Sligo.
Yes, Noel, your own 6 Cheltenham Festival winners, of course, as a jockey. Now is your opportunity to shine by putting forward a selection on the road to Cheltenham Challenge. What are you going to go with for Cheltenham?
I'm going to go on MACKTOAD. I think for the juvenile hurl, I was very impressed with him at the weekend. I think he looks a fine big juvenile. I think he's going to carry on improving. Obviously, we haven't seen probably all of the juveniles out yet, and some good ones probably still left to come out, but he's one I'm definitely going to be sticking with anyway.
Well, my selection on the show, Boylesports, of course, have enhanced Noel's selection for the Cheltenham Festival 2026, and I'm going to throw into the mix one for the Mayor's Chase. I think after a disappointing start to the challenge from my perspective thus far, Sober Gloria put forward on week 1. Clondalk Park obviously come down, put her in for the Mayor's Novice Hurdle on week 2, and Majborough Noel last weekend. So I'm going to have to put in another solid selection to get us back in the mix here. And I'm going to go with Spindleberry for the Mayor's Chase at an enhanced price there. I think she's solid. She's 4 from 4 over fences thus far, unbeaten for Willie Mullins. Willie has made reference that going right-handed has just been by choice, by chance, should I say. Obviously, she's very good at Fairyhouse. We could see her in the new year at Fairyhouse, and I just think she's rock solid. Dino Blue, look, she has a total of £9 to find with Dino Blue on official ratings, but she is progressive, a 7-year-old with just 8 starts. I think that stiff test on the Friday at Cheltenham over 2.5 miles on the new course could bring out further improvement with Spindleberry, and she was my open chaser to follow this season. And even though the owner has flirted with the Gold Cup, I think they'll probably end up here. So Spindleberry for the Mayor's Chase. Would you knock that on the Friday of Cheltenham, Noel, or would you be? Do you think she's a nice mare?
Yeah, I think she looks a nice mare. I think I wouldn't rule her out. That's for sure. She hasn't done a lot wrong so far. I know you said right-handed probably suits her better, but she probably hasn't done much going left-handed. So, yeah, she definitely won with a live chance, I'd say.
Yeah, all wins over fences have come right-handed, but exactly as you said, she's on try going left-handed. And the way she jumps, she could actually improve. I think she could actually improve going left-handed because she does shift a little bit out to her left. So I'm hoping, Noel. Listen, it was an absolute pleasure having you on the road to Cheltenham Challenge with ourselves at Champ.ie, Noel. I suppose for those maybe looking to get involved in the syndicate, are they ringing you or Dave, or how are we getting in touch?
They can ring either of us, and yeah, be good to chat to them.
What's coming up, I suppose, at the moment? Any young horses that you are syndicating currently that's in particular that you'd like to mention?
We have a nice filly that was second in the Pine of Pine called Milstead Abbey. She'll be out in the next 3 weeks by order of St. George. I think quite highly of her. I think she's a nice filly, and she's one we have shares available in at the minute.
Well, thank you very much. For everyone who has watched, make sure to put your selections down below. And if you haven't, subscribe to the Champ.ie podcast. Now's the time to do so and enter our draw course final before we do wrap up with Midland Travel for a trip for two to the Cheltenham Festival 2026. Noel, it's been a pleasure having you on the podcast, and we look forward to catching up at some point later on in the season. So thank you very much.
McCafferty's traditional Irish bars are located across Ireland, the UK, Spain and the United Arab Emirates. McCafferty's bars provide the perfect backdrop and atmosphere to watch all horse racing and sports events, serving traditional Irish food and music played 7 days a week. Come to McCafferty's for the crack and stay for the experience. Check out McCafferty'sBars.com. From Dundalk to Longchamp, from the Galway races to the Breeders' Cup, Shamrock Thoroughbreds recently celebrated their 100th winner, and Ireland's leading racehorse Syndicate has taken owners all over the world. Shamrock Thoroughbreds founder Stephen Thorne remarkably won the Winter Trainers' Championship at Dundalk during his first season as a racehorse trainer. To experience success with Shamrock Thoroughbreds and Stephen Thorne Racing, check out shamrockthoroughbreds.com.